Hello and welcome. This is Christina Hills with the Website Creation Workshop, and welcome to the essential pages of a successful website. And again, my name is Christina Hills. I am an international WordPress coach and teacher. My passion and gift is teaching technology and making it easy. My corporate background was as a visual effects artist. And this was before I had my daughter and before I became an online entrepreneur. I worked for George Lucas's company, Industrial Light and Magic. And I worked on such films as Star Wars, E.T. the Extraterrestrial, and Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park 2. But I'm here to talk to you about how to help you create a website that reflects your true nature as a soul-inspired person. Now, whether you want to build a spiritual website, which is my passion, or a business site, which I think most people here want to build a website or update their website for their own business. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go through the essential pages of a successful website that attracts your perfect client. And so I'm just going to jump right into it. This is called a wireframe, and I'm going to talk about this wireframe, and that is a terminology that web designers use. If you hire an expensive, fancy web designer, they'll make some kind of wireframe for you. But it's a visual way to understand a website. So your website's made of various pages. Home page, programs and services page, and underneath it you might actually have coaching or courses, an about page, a contact page, an FAQ page, testimonials page, and a blog. So these are the basic pages, and I'm going to walk you through these. So first off, your home page. This is my home page at websitecreationworkshop.com. And then here's my home page. Then I have a programs page, an about page, a contact page, and my blog. And I have lots of other pages as well, but these are the basics. And I wanted to show you one of my students, Natasha, and this is her home page. And she just went through the website creation workshop. And so here you see her home page, her programs page, her about page, her contact page, and her blog. And she built this all by herself, and she's truly thrilled. So what we're going to do is first tour these pages, right? I call them interior pages. These pages inside your site. And then we're going to discuss the home page last, right? And I'll tell you why in a bit, why we discuss the home page last. All right, so let's just start with our services. Many of us are here working online, offering services. So your services page, spell out the services you offer people. It could be phone coaching or consulting. Maybe you do Zoom calls, in-person coaching, etc. And you can call it services, you can call it coaching, you can call it work with me, sort of how you work with your clients. Providing services for people is a great way to transition from a corporate job to becoming an online entrepreneur. And that's how I got started in my business. I did setup services for people before I started my group coaching and training programs. So here is Natasha's site, and here she has her programs and services. She puts it together, and when you hover over it, there's a drop down of her different services. And here is her services listed. Now, you don't have to be offering services. I know many writers, they don't have services. You might have a products or programs page, and if you're an author, this might be called your books page. So your products or programs page, where you spell out the products or programs you offer people. So I think of a product as something you're either shipping in the mail, or maybe it's a home study course, or it's a PDF. Your products or programs could be group coaching, events, digital products, online courses, physical products, ebooks. There's many different ways you can think about it. So here's some examples: coaching, courses, trainings, products, programs, consulting, books, speaking. So your services or your products or programs, some people are going to have both, and some people might just have one or the other. So here's my programs page. When you go to my website, at the top it says programs, and these are the different programs I run because I love doing group coaching and I love doing online trainings. Here's a couple screenshots from two of my students. This gal has a reflexology university, online university, so that's her programs page. And then here's another one of my students who's an author, and so she has a books page. And then more of my students, this gal does online classes, and this other gal, she does it for body movement, and then this gal teaches prenatal classes. You can also have in-person classes. Now, I'm not saying everybody here has to be teaching online classes. I'm just showing you some examples of possibilities that you can do on your website. And I love this gal. I mean, I wish I were 7 years old and I could go to her Wild Heart Nature School in person camp. Then another one of my students, and as I've been showing you these screenshots, you'll notice how different every website looks. And that's why I've been teaching how to build websites for the past 16 years, because every student goes through the program, creates their own unique expression of who they are. And then this one from Donna, she has a coaching package, her coaching package and programs, and she calls it Work With Me. So you can label it whatever resonates with you. And as I said, if you don't have any products or programs yet, you can skip creating this until you're ready, or if you even want to. I know many authors don't have products or programs pages, and some consultants never create programs because they do one-on-one phone or in-person consulting. All right, so let's jump over to an About Us page. And I love talking about your About Us page. And some people refer to it as your bio page. This is where you brag about yourself, right? You want to put in your unique talent and ability and why you can help them. This is where you show who you are, whom you serve, and why people would want to work with you. Show off your experience, your training, your credentials, and this is one of the first places people go when they visit a website. And I know it's something that I always do. I look at a person's About Us page. On your About Us page, make sure that you have your full name, your picture, and how people can contact you, or a link to your contact page. So you want to, somewhere on the page, make sure you have your full name, and in this instance I have it twice, and I also have my picture. So you want to make sure you have a picture. Now if you are a company or a group, or maybe you're an animal shelter, and so you would have everybody who's part of your group or company, so you could do that as well. Now, typically, your About Us page is written in the third person, as if someone else is talking about you. So mine says Christina Hills is a teacher, trainer, and mentor when it comes to building an online business. She created the website, and I go on. It's in the third person. You can put your purpose in business, who your ideal clients are, and why, and any credentials or accomplishments you have. As I mentioned, this is also referred to as your bio page. So I like to have it in the third person as if someone is introducing me. And here's Natasha's. I'm going to be showing Natasha's site throughout this webinar as an example. But then I have other students, and she also has hers in the third person, and she does leadership development. And so this is a screenshot of her about page. Now, some people do put it in the first person, and really you get to decide. This is the great thing about building and creating your website yourself. You get to be the master of your own domain and decide how to do it. So she says she helps people transform their homes. And so she says, "Hi, I'm Randy." Now, she has her name up here, so that's fine. I would prefer she said, "Hi, I'm Randy DeStefano," but it's up to you. So as I'm talking and as you're thinking, you want to think about your own website and what's going to resonate with you. But here's the thing about your About Us page. Don't get stuck on making it perfect. You can always update it later. And this is why I'm such a proponent of people knowing how to manage your website yourself, because you don't have to get stuck on, oh, I have to have it all done so I give it to the web designer. You can change it later in the day or tomorrow or whatever. It's very empowering to be able to make these changes whenever you want. All right, so here's the thing. You want to have your page URL match what the page is about. So page URL, and hopefully you know what the word page URL means. It means your link. Okay, that's the page URL. So mine says about-Christina-Hills. Sometimes it just says about or about us. And this is referred to as a slug, right? So that's a terminology. What is the slug? This is the slug. So it will be referred to as the page URL, the link, or possibly the slug. And I don't know if have you ever heard of that term slug before? You can just write that in the chat. So that is the slug, because I'll get to a page on somebody's site and then I'll look at the URL and I'm like, well, that doesn't match what it's about. So that's kind of a techie term, the slug. So maybe you don't hear it that often. Most people say link or URL. And okay, let me keep going. So let's talk about our Contact Us page, right? The Contact Us page. This page should have you or your business name on it, and it should list the methods you want people contacting you. Phone, email, contact form. Some people have a contact form. I have some screenshots of that. Physical address, if it's appropriate. Explain on your contact page what will happen when they contact you. For example, we'll respond by email within 24 to 48 hours, or we respond to all phone calls on the next business day. So it's how you want to respond to people, right, on your contact page. So people want to know that you're a real person before doing business with you, and having a physical address really helps bring that credibility. But here's the thing, do not list your home address. Let me say that one more time. Do not list your home address on your website. You don't want people randomly showing up at your home. So I typically recommend people getting mailboxes, etc., or UPS store or a PO box for your contact page, not to list your home address. Or if you have a business address, that's fine too. All right, so Natasha, when I went to take a screenshot of her contact page, I love how she has a schedule a call as the first thing you see. Now, here is her contact form, right, that you can fill out if you want to send her a message. But what she really wants to do, and I just think this is brilliant, is she wants people to get on the phone with her and schedule a call so that she can get to know them, she can get to know the person and and see if you're a fit for each other. Here is Denise's, and I have other screenshots of her site later on. And you go to her contact link and you can see here is her form. And you can either enter a question or request a 30-minute consultation. So either one, and then you can fill out the send request. And here's how you can set up an appointment with her. Okay, so back to my Contact Us page, and actually I really should have a screenshot, and maybe during the Q&A, if someone reminds me, I can show how I have all the different ways to contact me on my Contact Us form. And I happen to love maps. I don't know if you like maps. I love maps, so I included a map of San Diego here on my Contact Us page. All right, so that was the Contact Us page. Moving along, let's talk about your privacy policy page. A privacy policy page is now built into WordPress and they make it easy. So today's training is not specifically about WordPress, and if you don't know what WordPress is, it is a platform to build websites on. But it's all built in, and anybody who has a website should have a privacy policy page. Your privacy policy explains how any personal data collected on your website will be handled. You might be thinking you're not collecting any personal data from anybody, but it's quite likely that your website technology is automatically doing it. So this is one of those annoying rules. When you have a website, you have to have a privacy policy. And you want to put it at the bottom of your site, right? So here's one of my students, Lindy, and down at the bottom, she's got a little menu in her copyright, and she has a privacy policy. So don't put the privacy policy at the top, put it at the bottom. The only instance where you might have it at the top is if you're some kind of financial advisor and you have to have it at the top. But most people have the privacy policy at the bottom. And again, it is built in to WordPress. So it's something every website needs to have. All right, so those were the essential pages of a successful website. Now what I want to talk about are other pages you might want to have on your site. And remember, I will be taking questions at the end of the presentation. Testimonials. Testimonials page. I love testimonials. I love giving testimonials. I love getting testimonials. Here's the screenshot. And I called mine stories because that's kind of a more interesting name than testimonials, but some people call it testimonials. I think I also called it stories because it was a shorter word. This is where you showcase the success stories or case studies of the people who have worked with you. So find recent clients and ask them to give you a testimonial. And after someone goes through the website creation workshop, we always ask them for a testimonial. Testimonials are good to collect right after you've worked with a person, when they're still feeling the warm glow of success with you. So if the soonest you can collect or ask for them, the better. But you can also go back to your old clients and ask for testimonials later. And it's also a great way to get feedback to improve your coaching services, your consulting services, your online courses. Sometimes people will give you really good feedback when they give you a testimonial. So here's some different ideas to name your testimonials page. You might call them case studies, you might call them success stories, or testimonials. And one of my students, he called it People I've Helped. So that was the name of his testimonials page. You can also call it rave reviews. You can add testimonials to your home page as well. So on my home page, when you scroll down, there are some blurbs and screenshots, testimonial screenshots. Or you can have them on your sidebar. So here's an example of a testimonial on my sidebar. All right, so now I'm moving on to, and I hope I'm not going too fast. If I'm going too fast, let me know in the chat box if I'm going too fast, but I will be taking questions. I love questions. I love interactive calls. I love helping people. All right, frequently asked questions. Frequently asked questions, or FAQ, is where you list the commonly asked questions and answers to make it easy for your website visitors to find the information they're looking for. Also, having an FAQ page on your website can reduce the amount of time you spend responding to client inquiries. So, FAQ won't apply to everybody. Like, for example, if you're an author, you might not have an FAQ page because you're showing off your books. But if you work with clients, or if you're a speaker and somebody wants to book you, having an FAQ, or if you teach online courses, having an FAQ page is great to have. So it could either be about how people work with you, or you might define the terms of your industry. So if you are a healer, you might have explain the terms of healing, like what are essential oils. So like that's what's here in my examples. How do you work with your clients? What is business coaching? Maybe how is business coaching different from life coaching? What are the health benefits of using essential oils, etc.? So you get to decide, do you want your FAQ page to be how people work with you, or to explain terms of your industry, or maybe a little bit of both? So with an FAQ page, it lets people find the answers to their simple question anytime they want. Like if I'm going to contact a company, I'll look at their FAQ first because maybe I've got the answer there. And here's one of my students, Mango Johnstone, and she does astrology consulting. And so she answers questions about how her astrology readings work. And on her FAQ page, if you can see my cursor, there are these little tabs, and when you click, they open up. This is called an accordion, by the way. So these tabs open up. She's totally non-techie, and she built this great site herself. Now, this gal who's a coach, and I know we have some coaches here listening to me. We have authors, we have healers, we have consultants, we have a whole range of people listening. And as I'm showing these examples, just think about how it would apply to you. So on her Work With Me coaching page, her FAQ is kind of built in, right? So this is her Work With Me, and then she's got questions about coaching. And I know it's a little faint, but when you click on each of these, it shows the answers. So on my FAQ page, I answer the questions about my beginner website creation workshop course, which is going to be starting very soon. I also have an intermediate website building course called the Website Marketing Workshop. So my FAQ answers the questions of the difference between the two. All right, so now I was going through all these different pages on your site. Let's talk about your blog. Okay, so under the blog, you'd have different articles, right? So your blog, some people refer to it as their newsletter, or some people call it their tips, and I'll show you some other examples. A blog is a wonderful way to market yourself by writing content-rich articles. When people come to your website, they want to know who you are, what you think, and how you can help them. Your home and about pages will get them off to a good start, but you want to give them more. On your blog, you can write about common issues people have in your market, create engaging article titles for your blog posts, and people will find them when they search in Google. So the great thing about having a blog and posting articles is that Google will notice, hey, this website has activity, and it is then more inclined to show you in the search results. You can also share them and have your friends and clients share them on social media. So you don't have to be on social media or love social media to make your articles available for other people to share on social media, which in turn can bring you more potential clients to your website. So here is my blog, websitecreationworkshop.com/blog. And my blog is what's referred to as a magazine style. So I have all these different, and I should have a zoomed out version of this, but I have all these different articles people can click on. And then here's one single article, right? 5 tips for planning your blog posts. And down here, this is the URL, also known as a slug. So websitecreationworkshop.com/blog/marketing, because this blog post is in the category called marketing, and then planning your blog posts. So notice the URL link matches what it's about. All right, so with blog posts, you can create evergreen articles or you can create current event articles. And I'm going to explain what the difference is between evergreen and current events. And you might already know, but I'm going to go through this explanation anyways. An evergreen article is an article that is relevant last week, last month, next year. It's not tied to the news. So like the Super Bowl, that would be a news-related article that then becomes sort of outdated. But here's an article on what is a WordPress plugin, right? Because I teach WordPress, I've got an article to explain what a plugin, because not everybody who's getting started building a website knows what a plugin is. Then I also have current event articles. So this is a current event article will become outdated because it's about an event in time. Like I mentioned, the Super Bowl or the Academy Awards is an event in time. And the Super Bowl and the Academy Awards happen every year, but when it's the middle of the summer, people aren't thinking about that. Anyway, so when WordPress comes up with new versions, I always do an article about what's new in the latest version. And for those of you who don't know, this is sort of fun. I'm a jazz music aficionado. They name all their versions after a jazz musician. So this was named after Lionel. All right, so your blog posts can be anything. It can be about anything you want. It is your content marketing. So content marketing is a term you may have heard, and if you've heard the term content marketing, you can say yes in the chat if you want to. Content marketing is where you are marketing your business but giving them content, right? So I put out a blog post a week, and it is pure content. It's not selling them on anything. So sometimes you're selling someone, like trying to convince them to work with you, or you're trying to convince them to buy your program. And sometimes you're doing almost like a public service announcement. So if you're a healer, maybe somebody doesn't know the benefits of essential oils. So you might write an article on the benefits of essential oils. Or if you're a coach, you might write an article on the 10 things to ask before you hire a business coach. So that is called content marketing. So here's Natasha, and her blog is on her healing journey and other people's healing and different ways to heal. This gal, really interesting, one of my other students, her name is Nancy. She posts about what she teaches in her course. So she has a course on the Akashic Records, and here are all her articles about the Akashic Records. Benefits from learning Akashic, giving thanks, why learn the Akashic Records equals God's memory. And then when you click, right, like if I was going to click on our blog post, then I get into this article, right? So this article is all about, why learn the Akashic Records. And then she can share this, or she can email this out if she's got an email list to teach people about the Akashic Records. Now this student, moving on to another example, she decided to use her blog for her client case studies. So instead, she's a copywriter. So instead of writing articles about copywriting, she's just sharing what she did with her clients. And this is a great thing to have and a great way to use the blog. So she doesn't even have the word blog up here. She just has read success stories. And notice how she doesn't have the date on there. So it becomes evergreen, meaning she doesn't have to feel the pressure to being publishing all the time. She just, as she gets a new success story, she writes an article about it. All right, moving along, and I see we have lots of good questions coming in, and I will be getting to questions. Moving along to terms and disclaimers. So terms and conditions or earnings disclaimers, every industry has something different. You can add these links to any kind of legal stuff you need in the footer of your website. And you can do this later. Check with your industry to see what kind of disclaimers you need. So that is that's what I have to say about terms, conditions, and earnings disclaimers. All right, so your website wireframe, I've gone through this a little bit quickly, but I want to kind of keep the pace moving. Now we can talk about your home page, right? So your home page, I like to talk about the home page last. Now, before I talk about the home page last, I just want to get this out of the way because I know we're going to get questions about landing pages. So I'm going to just take a little moment now before I dive into the home page to talk about the difference between a home page and a landing page. So your home page is like websitecreationworkshop.com, right? I also have christinasrecipes.com, right? That is my home page to my site, and I have a menu at the top. A landing page is a special page that you build that has one purpose. And the purpose was, this was for the essential pages of a successful website. I have this PDF download, and you click and you enter your name and email. So this was a list building page to give somebody something in exchange for their email. On this landing page, you typically don't have a menu like you see on the left. Sorry, my cursor's not bigger. So when you come to a home page, a person might click around and do a lot of different things. On a landing page, there's really just one thing to do. So that's the difference between a landing page and a home page. And if you have more questions about that, I can answer that during the Q&A. All right, so back to your home page. So on your home page, it should be about them, not you. When people visit your home page, it should be about their problem and why they're coming to your site. Most people make the mistake of their home page showing off what a great expert they are, but you don't want to do that on your home page. When someone lands on your site, they want to know how you can solve their problem, right? So your home page is about them. Your About Us page is about you. So I'm just going to say that one more time. Your home page should all be about them and their thoughts and desires and how you can help them. But your About Us page then brags a little bit more about you. Now, it is easier to work on your home page last because as you build your site, your mission will become clearer. As you create your website, as you put together your products or your programs or your services or your About Us or your FAQ, etc., all this will help you and then to then have the right words and what to say on your home page. So work on your home page last. All right, so on your home page, you want to have a clear call to action, right? So call to action is what action do you want the visitor to take? So you want to have a goal in mind when you create your home page. This is why it's best to do it last. What do you want someone to do when they come to your site? Do you want them to call you, sign up for a free session, have a discovery session, join your email list? For some people, it might be buying something from you. You know, like Amazon. Amazon, they want you to buy something, right? Because they're a big online store. So, and we're not creating Amazon sites. But, maybe you want them to register for something. Maybe you do a weekly free group coaching call. It's going to be different for each person. So on my home page, I've got this click here to learn more about the website creation workshop. On Natasha's home page, her call to action is to schedule a discovery session. So, you come to her site and it says, proven solutions for busy overachievers to heal stress, induce chronic pain, and the damage it does to the body. So this is already, she's telling you how she can solve your problem, and then you can click to schedule a discovery call. This is Denise, who also took my class, and this is what you see when you get to her home page. An evolutionary method of self-love and healing. Rediscover the beauty within the masterpiece of your own life and self. And then when you scroll down, your true self is waiting. Get in touch and explore your possibilities. So this is scrolled down from this page. And yes, she did this herself in the website creation workshop. This one, Deborah, her call to action is to schedule an appointment. She's got that up at the top. She also has free productivity tips on her site. And listen, don't be a perfectionist. When you build your website yourself, you can always update it later. So this is one of the reasons why my mission has been to help people know how to build their websites themselves, even if you're not techie, because that frees you up to not worry about being perfect. All right, so these were the essential pages: home, programs, about, contact, privacy policy, and then these are some of the pages you can add later: your blog, your testimonials, your FAQ, and terms. Now there's some other things you can add to your website. This might not apply to everybody, but it will give you some ideas. you can have your site in multiple languages. My program is an international program, and so I've got people from all over the world taking the website creation workshop. Hers is in Spanish, and I should have written this down. I think this is in Czech. Her website's in Czech. And this gal, she has a little button, and it actually switches back and forth between English and Spanish. You can also have book reviews. So many authors like to do this. So Tanya Ann, she's got a tab called Book Reviews. And then Andrea Susan, here was a screenshot of one of her book reviews, so reviewing other people's books. Again, won't apply to everybody. Some people want to have a podcast, so you can have a podcast on your website. So this gal does pilot flight training, and she has a podcast. And then this gal is an intuitive coach, and she has a podcast. So podcasting and WordPress go great together. Now you can also add videos to your website, and I like to add YouTube videos. You can also add Vimeo videos. The way you do that is you embed a YouTube video on your site. Here's a screenshot of a video I found from somebody else that I embedded on my site. And I'll be teaching how to embed a YouTube video on your website in my upcoming live webinar next week. And so you're going to want to come to that, where I'm going to go deeper into WordPress and then one of the demos I'm going to give is how to embed a YouTube video. So Erin, if you could put this link in the chat, websitecreationclass.com/webinars. There are 3 different webinars I'm teaching, one on Wednesday, one on Friday, and then one on Saturday. So you can pick that. And this is a free training, so you can pick that for next week. And I'll talk more about web designers, and I'll talk more about WordPress, and I'll talk about theme design and how to make changes, and so it's a very interactive. It's a lot of fun. So just go to websitecreationclass.com/webinars. And I am ready to take questions. So I'm going to take a sip of water.
All right. Well, Mary typed in a few questions at the beginning. So we'll go ahead and I'll read those off to you.
Okay.
So Mary says, regarding a products or services page, I'm offering both. So should I have them on the same page or different pages?
I think it makes sense to have them on different pages if you have products where you're actually selling a product or a service. I would probably have them as 2 different pages, but they could be one page. So the webinars next week, they are, let me show my screen. Okay, they're going to be the same webinar. So it's the same content, the same training. The questions will be different. So you are more than welcome to come more than once, because depending upon what happens in the Q&A, it's slightly different. Okay, Erin, and I'm also happy to go back to any slides if we need to.
Okay, great. So Mary also says, I have a lot of PDFs and audio files on my current website. Where can I keep them if I decide to transition to a WordPress website?
So where can you store them? You can store them on your website, your PDFs. I hope I'm understanding the question. So let's say you have a lot of here I have my do-it-yourself website creation checklist.
So Christina, real quickly, we're still seeing
thank you.
the webinar screen.
Okay, so on my site, on the sidebar is the opt-in, and when you opt in, you get the PDF. And actually, Erin, do you have that link? Maybe you can put that in the chat of the PDF for here. For anybody who didn't get the download that goes along with this presentation.
Okay, I'll put that in. Mary's next question. So she says, since I'm transitioned to working with groups, which I haven't done before, how do I handle the testimonials page? I just have a few testimonials from one-on-one coaching clients.
Here is the downloads page. Okay, so the question was, she has testimonials from when she was doing one-on-one. And there's nothing wrong with having a testimonial talking about your character. So if you don't have a testimonial, say you're starting a new course or group coaching, but you don't have a testimonial specifically for that, I believe you can still use the testimonial of it was great working with so and so. And you might want to check with the person, but when you're getting started and you're transitioning, I don't see anything wrong with somebody giving a testimonial on your character, on your follow up, on your thoroughness, on how well you know the subject. That is up to you.
All right, her next question is, she says, I started a podcast, but for about 1.5 years, I haven't been doing anything with it because my day job is more demanding than I anticipated. Can I keep calling myself a podcaster if I just pick up where I left off with it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, some people might only do a podcast once a month. So don't feel that you have to be podcasting daily or podcasting weekly. Just do it when you have time, and you can still call yourself a podcaster. Now,
Okay.
I see some people have questions. I'm just gonna to comment some specific questions about WordPress. I'm gonna go deeper into that next week. So, we want today's call to be sort of more of an overview. And if you have specific WordPress questions, definitely sign up for one of these.
All right, Christina, our next question, I'm not sure who the student is, or who the person is who asked. When you are building your website, do you do it on your phone or computer? If it's on the computer, do you make decisions based upon how it appears on a phone?
So that's a great question. So I tend to build my site on a computer because it's so much easier because I've got two hands and a keyboard. It's just a lot easier. Then what you can do is you can shrink your browser and it will give you an idea. See how I'm shrinking my browser? And it'll give me an idea of what it will look like on a mobile phone. And there's some other tools as well that you can use, but sometimes I just pull out my phone and look at it. So, yeah, and do I edit my website on my phone? Absolutely. I do it all the time. I lay in bed and I'm like, oh, there's a typo there, and I edit it and do it on my phone. But that's when I'm laying in bed and I don't feel like getting up out of bed. But most of the time, I plan on working on my computer just because it's a lot easier.
Okay, so Dennis says, would you repeat content on your website that you also posted on social media and vice versa?
Ask that one more time.
So I think he's asking, is it okay to put the same content on your website that you posted on social media and vice versa?
Yes, so what I do, yes, I put it first on my website and then I share it to social media. So I might click share. Oh, I won't do that. I'll do Twitter. So I might share to Twitter. So I have these share buttons, and so I'm sharing to Twitter now called X. And so this, you know, I might change it to get my download of the So I'm sharing to Twitter right now, and this image will come up in a minute. So I put it on your site first and then share to social media. So you might share to LinkedIn, Twitter. There's lots of different places you can share it. That's how I do it.
All right, our next question is, how do you add security so when someone comes to your website, they know it's a safe place?
So when someone comes to your website, see how I have this lock up here? So let me go to the home page of my blog, or I could go to my home page. So there's a little lock, and that's HTTPS. So HTTPS shows that your site is secure. And on your order form, that's a different thing. You might have security symbols about credit cards and stuff like that. But you want to make sure you have HTTPS, not HTTP. I think I have other trainings about that too.
All right, our next question is, we are a community group. One of our services is advertising events within the community. On our current site, stores the events and any photos from them, and each can be accessed as an archive and accessed by the community. We have 10 years of activity with 20 events a year. Does WordPress support that type of activity?
Yes, you can have, and again, next week I'll be going more into WordPress, but you can have as many pages as you want on your WordPress site. So if you've got 10 years and 20 events a year, that's totally fine. I mean, people will probably not look at the old events, but it's fine to have that on your site.
Okay, our next question is, what about including someone else's content? So I think this question is about, are you allowed to include someone else's content on your website?
Yes, there's different ways to do that. I'm trying to see if if we did a block quote. I'm trying to think of, can you think, Erin, what article we might have done a block quote to include someone else's content? I can't think off the top of my head, but you can quote other people. And it's a term called a block quote, but I'm trying to think of where we would have done that recently.
I don't think we have a recent one.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of. So you can quote others. So there's different ways to pull in content from other people's site. So the best thing to do is, contact the other person, but we do quote Wikipedia. Maybe if I search for Wikipedia, because I know I quote Wikipedia. I'm just trying to see if no, I think we reference Wikipedia. I don't have that off the top of my head. But you can do that. You can quote other people.
Okay, our next question is another one from Mary. She says, thanks for this informative presentation, Christina. Can landing pages and home pages have the same web address?
Good question. So let me go to websitecreationclass.com. So websitecreationclass.com is my generic landing page to come to my free webinar. And then when I type in /webinars, that's my specific page for the webinar. So I have, on this domain name, I have different landing pages, and this is the one for the checklist. So I have different landing pages under the same domain name, /checklist. You could have a landing page, and I don't know if I have an example of that, where you don't have slash, but I want to have different landing pages. So let me say this again. So I have a domain name for my landing pages. One's a checklist and one's for my webinars. And I have some others as well. So did I answer her question? Why don't you read it one more time? I want to make sure I answered it.
Okay, so she says, can landing pages and home pages have the same web address? And then she says, for example, www.aboutus.com for both. So can it have the exact same URL, I think is what she's asking.
Okay, so I have Graphics Creation Workshop. That's one of my other programs to teach you how to create graphics. So this is my home page, and then I have a slash webinar. I think this is the right URL. Yeah, so excuse me. So graphics, website creation, oh, I guess it's a forward to graphics. Yeah. So they can. I think you can have a URL and have pages underneath it with a slash. So I have websitecreationclass.com/graphics webinar, and this is my evergreen webinar, and you can just pick a date and time. Hopefully I answered that if somebody needs clarification. So they are different pages. So these are different pages under the same URL, but there's no menu. So there's no menu, whereas my website has a menu. So this is my main website and has a menu, and there's different places to click. Yes, Noah is commenting, anything after the slash is a different page. So, and you can have many pages off of one URL. So some people do use a landing page as their home page. Yes, some people do that. Let me see.
Okay, so she had a part 2 to that question. She says, I'm working in 2 genres. One is picture books with a co-author, and the other is the inspirational genre. Is it okay to have one web page for both genres?
She's got picture books and then she has inspirational.
And yes.
I think if it makes sense, that yes, you can have that, if that makes sense. If it doesn't, like if you are a lawyer, but you also grow roses, so if you've got a website for your lawyer services, being a lawyer, and then you have a website for growing roses because maybe you're a master gardener, those are way too different. They should be different websites. So, if you do two things that are slightly different, but they sort of fit together, you can have it on the same website.
All right. So Javier says, how do you compare WordPress with GoDaddy?
I want to cover more of WordPress. I'll answer that briefly, but I want to encourage you to come to the webinar next week. Just pick any one of these. So GoDaddy is a hosting company, and I'll be talking about hosting companies next week. WordPress is the software to build your website. So the hosting company is the company that houses your website, and GoDaddy has their own website building platforms. They also do have WordPress in GoDaddy account, but I'm going to go more into details on that next week. So come back to one of these.
Okay. So Heidi says, do you have suggestions for handling testimonials if I can't use real names or videos for testimonials due to HIPAA compliance?
What I would do is, let me see if I can, I like to teach with pictures. So I'll just pick any one of these. I would put their first name and their city and not have a photo. So you could have, so let me just show, again, I like to teach with pictures. So this is Deborah's. So let's say because of HIPAA, You could not have their picture, you could not have their last name, and then put their city. So Joan in Chicago says, and then just don't have a picture, and that works.
Okay, Kim says, this may be a simple question, but I do not have a logo. Do you help with that? And if so, can I have the logo go to my website?
Yeah, do we have an example of someone? I know we must have. I'm going to talk more about logos next week, but I'm just trying to think of. Okay, Susan doesn't have a logo. You don't have to have a logo. Don't spend money on a logo because it's going to be a waste of money unless you already have one. So she doesn't have a logo. So you don't need a logo. You don't need to pay for a logo. You don't need a logo. Um, I teach people how to make their own logo in the graphics creation workshop. But again, when you're starting out, you don't need to spend the money on a logo.
Okay, Javier says, do you encourage?
I always encourage, Javier. I'm encouraging now, and I'm going to encourage more next week. And yes, I encourage.
Yes, I can attest to that.
Yes,
Christina is a big encourager.
I'm a big
Okay,
encourager.
so Kathy says, we have blog posts back several years. Should we remove the older ones? And does Google crawl the blog posts?
That's a great question. So, I don't remove old ones. If the info is really out of date, then I might update it. But I'm just trying to see if I can find an older blog post. So, what I usually do if I have an old one, especially if it's teaching tech, is I might update, like if a plugin changes. I know this one is an article we did recently. How to check how your site looks on mobile. You can see my screen, right? Yes. So I think we changed the different tools we were teaching, but I don't delete old articles. It's pretty rare because I like to have them. So I would just update it. Yeah, see, this article has been updated since it first appeared. So I add this to the bottom that I've updated and when it first appeared. So in 2020, I wrote this article and then we updated it. These are great questions.
So Christina, I did find, since you're on the blog, I did find an example of the block quotes. It's the Giving Tuesday post.
Oh, okay.
Has
All right, yeah, so this is an example of a news related. So, what is Giving Tuesday? I often post this. Giving Tuesday is the Tuesday after Thanksgiving. And then here's a block quote. And I've styled it with red little brackets. So here is I am quoting Mashables and then I'm linking to their site. So this is a block quote. And different themes, and I'm going to get into themes next week, handle the block quote differently. And here's my testimonials on my sidebar, and then this rotates. I have these rotating testimonials. Okay. Do we have?
all right. I'm going to send the next question your way. Kim says, I do not have a blog, but I'd like to have a page to add other colleagues that I'd refer their business. Also, I'm thinking about adding a subscription program where products can be ordered. However, these products are not part of my primary business. I'm a career and leadership coach, however, would like to add health products through a subscription program.
You mean you have a monthly subscription, or do you mean you have a blog and then you're going to talk about it on your blog?
I don't think she has a blog. She doesn't have a blog.
But she wants
She
to
wants
add a
to,
blog? No.
no, she'd like to add a page where she kind of refers people to other businesses and colleagues.
Yeah, you can have a, do I have a resources link at the bottom? No. Um, okay, let me look here. See, I have a resources link at the bottom of different resources. So you might have a resources link, or you could have a partners page. Here's the great thing about building your website yourself. You can have, you know, you can do things so many different ways. Like here's Nancy. I was talking about her Akashic Records, Akashic Workshop. So her site is completely different from Natasha's site. So you get to make it the way you want. And I want to encourage everybody. Has everyone signed up? Which day did you pick? I'm going to put this in the chat again. I'll put this in the chat multiple places. We're also going to send an email out about this. But which day did you pick for next week to come? A couple people are coming Wednesday. Some people are coming Saturday. Some people are coming Friday. All right, I'm game to take some more questions.
Okay, so Javier was wanted a follow-up question about using other people's material. So do you think that's a good idea as long as you credit them, or do you discourage people from using other people's content,
You know, that's
material?
okay, that's a tricky question, and it's really hard to answer that generically on a group call like this because it depends what you're quoting or what you're including. So I think it's really if you're there's certain instances where you're quoting people, and where what did I don't have that now. Let me back up because I think it's in here somewhere. Right, Giving Tuesday. So I was quoting givingtuesday.org, see, and I'm giving them credit and I'm linking to their website for Giving Tuesday. And then here it was I'm quoting Mashable and I'm linking to their website. So I'm giving them credit by linking to their site. And I'm not claiming that I said this. So in this instance, I don't have to ask them. But I don't
Okay,
know.
that was one of the follow-up
Yeah.
questions from Mary. Do you have to ask them?
No, I don't think I don't I do it, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a copyright attorney, so I'm giving you my opinion. If you feel you need legal advice, you should contact a lawyer. But it is my opinion if you are quoting someone, not claiming it's your own, and then linking to their website, then this is fine. You know, news organizations do it all the time. So, yeah, and I'm quoting a couple of other articles as well. And then here I've embedded a YouTube video, which I'll be teaching next week. Yeah, Noah's piped in, quote is fine as long as it's cited. So that's an example. I'm citing the quote here by saying where it came from. And then I'll be talking about embedding YouTube videos on your site when are other people's videos. So I'll be talking about that and the how you give credit and all that next week on. Um, I'll do it on all three of these. Again, this is all the same, so don't stress, and they're at slightly different times, so you can pick the time that works for you.
All right, Christina. So um, Mary says, will you talk about VPS hosting also next week? For now, could you just tell us what it is?
I don't want to get in. I want to wait till next week because next week is really more of a techie call. This week's call was more kind of an overview, and I was trying to not be too techie. So come back next week and I'll talk about host. That's where I go more into depth about hosting. I'll also be talking about Wix and Squarespace and comparing that to WordPress. All right, I'm happy to keep going probably for another 10 minutes. As long as we have
Okay, I don't
questions, or
see
we
any.
can wrap it up early, but as long as we have, these have been really great questions.
Okay, let's see if anybody puts in more questions. I think we had covered all of them.
I guess Erin is reading questions.
Yes.
I'll
Okay, so
answer Brian's question about user generated content, because
okay.
that's an interesting conversation. So on my website, the content is all generated by me, except for well, my testimonials. But when people leave comments, right, that would be user generated content. Twitter, gosh, I always hate going to Twitter because there's such nasty people on Twitter. Um, Twitter is an example of user generated content. So, and I don't even know how the algorithm works that people are showing up in my feed because some of these people I'm not even following. But Twitter and Facebook is all user generated content. Some people build websites that is user generated content, meaning other people are contributing, not you. So most of the people who take my course, you know, like Nancy and like Natasha and like Susan, they're generating their own content. But user generated content is like Facebook, is social media, like Instagram, Facebook. Like Instagram's not putting up the content, people are contributing to user generated content. So I don't have an example of that. And Erin, make a note. I don't know if we have any students who are doing that. Now, some people might do that with like guest blog posting. Huffington Post. I'm not, I mean, I know of the Huffington Post, but I haven't gone there. So I think they have their own writers. I think the Huffington Post, I don't think users are, oh God, I hate news. I think they have their own writers on the Huffington Post. You know, comments on your website could be user generated content. All right. Was there a
Okay.
question about
Yes.
quizzes?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
Mary says, my home page goal is to have them browse my love meditations or take a short quiz that will help them choose a meditation that's best for their needs.
Okay.
So should she provide both options or just one of those options? Because she doesn't want to lose people if they can't decide which one.
So
To
say that
browse,
one more time. She's not sure. She might want them to take, well, here.
right. So she doesn't know whether to have the option to allow them to browse all of the love meditations or to take a quiz to see which one is best for them.
Um,
And so,
there's probably a diplomatic way to do both. So sometimes, sometimes it's hard to have only one goal. So here on my graphics creation workshop, I've got a download for people to opt in, and then down at the bottom, I have a link for people to enroll. So I think it's the way she lays it out. So, you could have browse my meditations, or if you're not sure, take the quiz. So some people are going to want to take the quiz.
all right. We have another question about providing a link to have your website visitors join your Facebook group. Is that possible, and where do you suggest putting that on the website? Is it join my Facebook group on the homepage?
Again, it really depends. If that's your key goal is to get them onto Facebook, so like if Natasha's key goal was to get them into Facebook, she could have a join my Facebook group, but she might need to have sort of more copy to talk about it. Like to me, I would think joining a Facebook group would be a secondary goal, but again, without knowing more specifics. No, so
All
Adrienne
right,
wants to
Darcy.
know, like, where would you put it? Like, could be different places. You could have it on more than one place. So on my About page, I have links to connect with me on social media. So that's on my About page if you want to sort of see what I'm sharing on different, and then these are also the same down here is sharing on social media. So it's going to be different. I've not seen a site where the main goal was to join. Often it's when you opt in, like, let me see. So this is after you've opted in. That's more where I see it is on the thank you page. Join my Facebook group.
Okay, Christina, Darcy says, how do you get blogs out without using social media?
So how do you get your content out without using social media? Well, social media is a free way to get it out. You can have you can have an opt-in list and have people join your mailing list, and you get them out on via email. You get your content out. And Ralph's question: do you use WordPress on your website? I'm reading Ralph's question. Yes. All my sites are on WordPress.
He also says, how long does it take to be comfortable in using WordPress?
That's really different depending upon different people, Ralph. Some people are more comfortable with the internet. Some people have had a website before. So let's say you've never had a website. It really depends upon, what your goal is. So let me, trying to. Do you have the link for the gal who she's an author, but her book is coming soon? I know I'll look. Here's my success stories. This is where I go. And authors. Okay. Judith.
Judith.
So Judith got her site up. And here's her testimonial. I'll go to her website. So she's writing a book and she wanted to get her site up right away. I mean, this is beautiful and non-techie. She got this up herself. So she just has an order the book, and it's basically a one-page site. So she's going to fill it in more later. This is a great example, Erin, I'll want to copy this later, of her site is up, but it's not like this other author who's got a lot more in there. Did I answer the question? How long does it take?
Yes.
So, for example, Judith, her page is just one site. So it really didn't take her long. She's on the back end, she's still building other things. Yeah, and as Mary says, it's beautiful even though it's only one page. I don't want to overwhelm people by showing too many sites, but I do love to show different sites. People going to type in the chat what your business is? I could bring up some examples.
While they're typing in, Lodi says, is it okay to have 2 to 3 people assigned to maintain a WordPress site? Does that work?
Is it okay to have 2 or 3 people assigned to maintain your site? Is that the question?
Yes.
You can have as many, if you've got assistants, you can have as many assistants as you want managing your site. I think we've got me and two others managing the blog, but you can have as many people as you want helping you. Lots of people. I mean, big websites. I'll be talking about that next week. Big corporations use WordPress. Here's just a few other examples of this gal does acupuncture. This gal is a chiropractor. So everybody's who takes the website creation workshop, their site, oh, that's not my site. Let me close these. Has their own. Oh, Angela, I do have an
So,
artist and an art teacher, but I don't think her site is on our blog yet. Oh, this gal, Rebecca, she helps artists market. Artist Advantage. I hope I'm not jumping around too much. I just get so excited. I want to show off what people do. I think Jenny is also a teacher. Oh, I know Laura's a teacher. I think she's an artist and a teacher. Um, I think she is. Let's see. She does marketing for artists. She took my course as well. All right. Erin, I think we need to wind it up because we've been on for 90 minutes. Let me put the link to my success stories in here. And you can just go to websitecreationworkshop.com and click on stories. I've got coaches, business coaches, authors, healers, artists, health and wellness, consultants, spiritual professionals. I also do Feldenkrais practitioners. I don't know if we have any Feldenkrais practitioners. Animal websites, astrology websites, brick and mortar, churches, copywriters, doctors, educators, foodies, teens. I've got nonprofits. Oh, this one's really nice. This Brooklyn Animal Shelter.
Christina, Ralph has a question. You mentioned the website creation workshop in today's webinar. Should I expect to create my own website after attending your workshop?
So next week, well, that's an overview free webinar, and I'm going to teach you how to build a page in WordPress. I'm going to teach you how to embed YouTube, and I'm going to be talking about my course. So my paid course, I'll be talking about my paid course next week. So you'll want to come next week where I teach about WordPress, I teach about hosting, I teach about domain names, and how to embed a YouTube video and show more case studies. And I talk about email marketing and selling online. So that's going to go more in depth to teaching you about WordPress and about joining me in the website creation workshop because I have a class coming up starting at the end of the month. Oh, so I just wanted to show this was another student who took the website creation workshop. So
Christina, could you share the link with everyone here on the sample, the success stories, the clients' websites?
Yeah.
So that they can browse and get ideas.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to memorize it. Just come to websitecreationworkshop.com and in the top it says stories. And then here's also my FAQ where I talk about my beginner course. That's what I'm going to be starting up at the end of the month. And then I have an intermediate course, so you can look at the FAQ. Okay. Well, I hope everyone joins me next week. We will be sending emails out. I do have a tendency to send a lot of emails because some people miss things. So if you're getting too many emails, um, don't worry about it. It's just because there's always somebody who's like, I missed it.
Christina,
Yes.
um, before we close, Noah says, I know this isn't on topic, but I'm curious about your time at Lucas.
Oh, I loved working for George Lucas's Industrial Light and Magic. And if you rent Star Wars Episode 1, my name is in the credits. If you rent Jurassic Park 2, my name's in the credits. Um, um, it was a great, oh, you did see it in Episode 1. That's great. And I have there's a bunch of other movies that I've worked on as well. Darcy is asking, I'm just catching this as we wrap it up here. Should your bio be more about the client too? You could in your bio talk about your client, but you want to start out talking about you. Yeah, Noah, that was me. Yeah, I was a special effects artist. I'll talk about that next week, but I was a special effects artist before I became an online entrepreneur, and it was great working there. But I had a kid. I'll talk about this next week, and being able to be home with my child was more important for me than my career. And everybody gets to decide what's right for them. All right. Erin, I think we need to wrap this up. This was supposed to only be a 1 hour call.
I think we've answered everything, so I think we can wrap up.
Yeah, yeah, Darcy, that's great that you saw all the movies that I worked. I also worked on The Perfect Storm and some others as well. Okay, thank you to Erin and to everybody else on my team. Erin was helping me today. Definitely come next week where we'll be a little bit more rolling up our sleeves, going into the back end of WordPress, showing you how you can do this yourself. And for those of you who then also want to join me in my course that's starting at the end of the month, I hope you do decide to join me. Um, Thank you, and thank you, Erin, and everybody else. Again, my name is Christina Hills, and I will see you all next time. Bye bye, everybody.